The Sopwith Camel was a British World War I fighter plane that led the British to play a major role in World War I. The Sopwith Camel was developed by the Sopwith Aviation Company prior to 1917.
The difference between the Camel and the Pup was that the Camel was larger and heavier than the Pup and was more difficult to control. The reason why it was difficult to control was due to the closeness of the engine, cockpit, and fuel, as well as the torque effect of the rotary engine.
The Camel was extremely dangerous when controlled by a beginner pilot, but in the hands of an experienced pilot, it was able to take advantage of its flying characteristics. It was an extreme dogfighter that could outmaneuver any other airplane it encountered.
The Camel's only legitimate competition it faced was the Fokker DR-1 triplane, which was the German fighter plane. It was introduced to the British Air Force in June 1917. There were approximately 5,490 Sopwith Camels built at the time. The Sopwith Camel was the first British prototype to carry twin Vickers machine guns as standard equipment. The Sopwith Camel biplane had a maximum speed of 182 km per hour. Its wingspan was 8.5 meters, length 5.7 meters, and its range was 249 kilometers. The firearms included two belt-fed Vickers .303 machine guns.
The Fokker DR-1 triplane's maximum speed was 164 kilometers per hour. Its wingspan was 7.2 meters, its length was 5.7 meters, its range was 298 kilometers, and the Fokker's firearms included two fixed 7.92mm Spandau machine guns.
The Sopwith Camel was used with 6 different rotary engines during the war. The 130 horsepower Clerget 9B rotary was the standard power plant, and the 150 horsepower Bentley BR1 rotary gave the best performance of the 6 engines. Donald McLaren was a fighter pilot during World War I. He was credited with the 3rd most victories for a Canadian ace in the entire war, with 54. Going back to the Camel's characteristics, Donald was able to use these characteristics to his advantage during the war because of his skill. He isn't the only ace that was extremely successful during the war, but is one of the most recognized.
The Sopwith Camel was made of mainly wood and steel. It had other fabrics involved in the construction, but the others were minor.
The significance of Canadian aces to the Sopwith Camel's recognition is that because of their talent and skill, they were able to show people what the Camel was capable of. If they weren't trained well enough, it would have given the Camel a bad reputation. The Camel's flying style was specifically a dogfighting style. It was very unpredictable in a dogfight because of sudden movements. As we said before, if in the hand of a beginner pilot, they probably would have had a difficult time controlling it, but with an experienced pilot, the pilot would use those characteristics to his advantage.
In shooting range, the Camel had a lower chance of being hit than the Fokker because of these movements, which led it to being the most successful dogfighting plane in the entire war. The Sopwith Camel's significance to Canada was that it was the plane most flown by Canadians and the plane that was most successful in taking down enemy planes and other aircrafts. At the start of the war, the Germans were the most successful in the air, but in 1917, when the British acquired the Sopwith Camel, the British began to become more powerful and a big threat to their enemy. They ended up playing a major role in the Allies winning the war.